ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਰਿਲੀਜੀਅਸ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਸੀਰੀਜ਼ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹਰਬੰਸ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੰਡੋਲਾ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਰਿਅਲਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਸਕੇ ਕਿ ਰੱਬ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਹੈ। ਰੱਬ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਲੱਭਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਦੈਵੀ ਗੁਣ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੰਗੇ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਉਹੀ ਮਕਸਦ ਹੈ ਇਨਰ ਟਰਾਂਸਫਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਬ ਕੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਸੀਰੀਜ਼ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਸਕੇ। ਤਾਂ ਇसी ਸਫ਼ਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਓ ਮੁੜ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜੋੜਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕ ਰਹੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੋਜ਼ਮਰਾ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ 'ਚ ਅਡਾਪਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ। ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹਰਬੰਸ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੰਡੋਲਾ ਦਾ। ਜੈ ਆਨੰਦ ਜੀ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। Harpreet ji, we were discussing that the large majority of the people feel that religion and God has no relevance in their daily life, and they don't experience that peace and happiness, and they're because of the misconceptions, misunderstanding of the concept of what God is, they raise a lot of questions, and the questions need to be answered.
Absolutely.
And when our youth, they find that their questions are not answered and they walk away. Now in the last we discussed that misconception that why there's evil. So we discussed why, you know, in Guru Nanak's philosophy. We answered that question. And a lot of people, Harpreet ji, walk away from the religion because they say their prayers are not answered.
Right.
And when their prayers are not answered, and millions walking away, God didn't answer my prayer, God has no relevance in our daily life. And when sometimes when the priest, the organized religion, doesn't have an answer, they find various excuses. But they don't really explain the real concept.
And the person further gets disconnected because they think that I don't know why maybe I'm not at that par of understanding where I can understand about God.
But if the youth had got an answer, what we're going to talk about here, they will be connected.
Right.
They're connected. Now the prayers are not answered. Guru Nanak Pacha says, "Virthi kade na hoye janti ardas."
Yeah.
Do we really understand? We
What
can
does it
answer that. Prayer of a devotee is always answered, Guru Pacha says. As we discussed, God of Guru Nanak is divine wisdom, treasure of virtues, nature, that God is formless, timeless, and God is within our consciousness. This is the God we are praying to.
Right.
This is the God, and we need to understand what God we are praying to. Prayer is a communication dialogue with the God within us. In fact, prayer is a commitment within ourselves, and that's where Guru Nanak Pasha is talking about. God of Nanak has nothing to do with outer purpose, physical world. That's where we need to understand. When we understand the concept of God, Harpreet, this is very important. When we understand the concept of God, in Sikh world, this is not really explained that God is a Shabd Guru, Gyan Guru, God is a divine wisdom, God is a treasure of virtues. God is within of us. Who are we praying to?
Right.
You know, if we explain that way, and that God has nothing to do with outer purpose, had nothing to do with physical world, everything to do with inner purpose. God has everything to do with inner purpose, inner engineering, conscious transformation. God has everything to do with how to be a good human being, spiritually enlightened, and finding the meaning of life. This is the only prayer we can have, the only demand we can place before the God of Guru Nanak, if you understand. Guru Pasha says very clearly, we should understand the meaning of prayer, you know. And my only prayer is divine wisdom, godly virtues, learn to live in the present. And if every society, they understand this, then will know what prayer means, what we ask. Prayer is to think inside our head, in our consciousness, and nothing to do with outside events. This prayer is always answered. When our prayer is for divine wisdom, when our prayer is for treasure of virtues, godly virtues, and living in the present, and that prayer is always answered. And if our youth get that explanation, they will be satisfied. But I have to make that commitment follow through on that. That's very important. God, when the prayer is for outer purpose, for example, and the society should understand victory in the election, and the prayer is a gift of a son. Protect me from hurricane, we will talk about that. Cure my diseases, give me a business success. These are, RPG, all outer purposes.
Yeah.
And if this is our prayer, that prayer is not going to be answered, you know, for outer purpose. And you do not receive divine wisdom. And the other important part of this prayer is, and by saying that God give me divine wisdom, but I have to work at it.
Oh yeah.
I have to work on, God has given the path, but I have to walk on that path, understand that path. So this is answer the prayer. God did not protect. No. RPG, these are the questions are, I think, raised, these questions. That's why people walk away from that. God did not protect me from danger, hurricane, cure my disease. This is the question. All people have these questions.
Absolutely.
Young people have these questions.
Right.
You know.
Coming back to the issue of Birthi Kade Hove Janki Ardas, when you say, so we should understand this, that the Ardas, what you're doing, will never be unfulfilled if, because ultimately I'm praying to myself that may I have the strength, may I have the courage to do the right thing, may I have all those work habits, ethics. If I'm talking about success, outerward, God is not going to come and help me. I myself have to work hard. I have to get up early. I have to start working on that. I have to start planning on that. It's a commitment with myself. Right.
And we did two episodes
Absolutely.
on the meaning of prayer.
That's right.
And that's exactly that. If we understand that, then we understand the meaning of religion.
Right.
And then we will not be just, running away from that. And let's explain this, understand that why God protect me from dangers, and people walk away when they don't, that's the answer. So here's the answer.
Right.
For our young people. I'll use this one example, RPG, answering this question. For example, a farmer cultivate a field and worked hard and sowed the crop. Okay, crop is ready for harvest, and hard hailstorm come down and destroy the crop. Okay, we know that how hailstorms are formed in the according to the laws of nature.
Right.
And environmental phenomena. There's no power. If we understand the concept of God, the laws of nature, there's no power on that earth that could stop the hailstorm. Guru Pasha se hukme andar sabko bahar hukum na hoy. We understand that everything happened according to the laws of nature. That the concept of God of Guru Nanak Balihari Kudrat Vasya. God of Nanak empowers the devotee to accept the situation as it happens. Will of God.
Right.
Will of God. Deal with the situation, remaining stable, calm, free of anger, stress, and anxiety, because everything is happening according to the laws of nature. That's the sign of spirituality, awakened person. When out of ignorance and fear, we believe that God is almighty, omnipotent, that God has the power to intervene and protect the farmer from damage to his crop. If that is our belief system, then God can rightfully blamed for not acting and not intervening. If that is our concept, misunderstanding, then we will blame, they blame God. Or worst, because of misunderstanding, we worst to blame the farmer and believe it was deserved punishment for something he disobedience to the God.
Right.
If we believe in wrong conceptions of God, misunderstanding, these are all tools and weapons of behavior control and exploitation. God does not stop hailstorm. If we understand the concept of God, God does not stop hailstorm that happen according to the laws of nature. God, through divine wisdom, knowledge, empower us to deal with those situations. With the tragic situation, spiritual philosophy of Nanak guide us Sukh dukh do idhar kapre pehre jaye manukh.
ਜੀ
You know, this is the philosophy. If we understand, jithe bolan hariye, utthe changi chup, bad times, good times are
Will
the
come and go.
situations of life.
Yeah.
These are situations of life. We
Right.
cannot fight the laws of nature. Learn to accept the situation as it is. Learn to live in the present. Now, if this is the answer for our youth, for the whole society, they would not raise these questions.
Right.
They would accept it, learn to live, cope with the situation rather than getting stressed
Right.
and not answering. And if we answer these questions to our young people, they will be connected to the spirituality.
Right.
They live the way of that. And similarly, I was, this is a big question. There was asked, these questions are raised because the misunderstanding, misconception, and inadequate understanding of what God is. I do to say, in the context what we discuss, I dare to say that God, human created 1,000 years ago out of ignorance and fear for safety and security is failing to answer these questions because of the misunderstanding of the concept.
Right.
That is where we are, people are walking away, saying that it has no relevance because they don't get answers to these questions.
Right.
You know, the big question: an innocent child died. Why an innocent child dies? You know, a 2-year-old innocent. He didn't
He
do
hasn't done
anything
wrong. Yeah.
anything wrong. But how do we answer that? Because common in the society do not have the answer, because now when we don't have the answers, the two ways we react to that.
Yeah.
Instead of why God let this happen, and then people walk away. If they don't understand this question, they don't get the answer, they say why God let this happen, and they simply walk away. Or organized religion exported all these questions to the supernatural God. This is the God's punishment for criminal actions of the past life.
Yeah.
This is the answer,
Right.
and youths are not accepting those answers. Karma da phalya, as long humans continue believe in external supernatural God of omnipotent, almighty, God of miracles, human race will not get out of spiritual ignorance, pain, and suffering.
Ji.
And now, the reality of the laws of nature is someone die at birth, and some live to 100 years. And medical science can answer the questions why a child died. For example, the medical science can find the answer whether there was a genetic defect, or it was the mother was drinking or drugs, infection at birth, environmental pollution, and like in India, for example, 1,000 people died of polio.
Yeah.
And this is a punishment of the past life. And medical science found the vaccination, there are no reported deaths there. So these situations happen according to the laws of nature. What God has nothing to do with this. So when we understand the concept, when we answer all these questions, then there's no disconnection.
Right.
Then we say, for example, in the daily life, if we take an example of daily life, we buy a car, we drive a car, the accidents happen, and people lose life.
Right.
Their life, face situations every day. When Guru Nanak Pacha says, Sampe dekhna harkiye, vipat dekhna roye, jo sampe tyun vipat hai, vidne likhya so. Sampe is not a good time, a happy time, vipat is a bad time, the difficult time. What logical, practical approaches while living in the society, we face these encounters every day. And Guru Pacha says, when there's a good time, don't be egoistic. When there's a bad time,
don't be depressed.
Don't be depressed.
Absolutely, and that's what Sikh is all about, that be in the present, live in the present, understand. And thank you very much for bringing up these questions, because again, while we talk philosophically, but the questions what you bring forward, which is generally asked by people when
Yes.
something happens.
Well, that's why people are walking away.
Absolutely, if they get the right answers, definitely they'll understand what God is and what religion actually means to us.
Spirituality.
Thank you very much. We'll continue in our discussion in our future episodes. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ
ਖਾਲਸਾ,
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਜੀ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹਰਬੰਸ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੰਡੋਲਾ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਈ ਹੈ, ਬੜੇ ਸਿੰਪਲ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਬਿਰਥੀ ਕਦੇ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜਨ ਕੀ ਅਰਦਾਸ, ਪਰ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਅਰਦਾਸਾਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਜਾ। ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਸਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਰੱਬ ਮੈਂ ਹੀ ਕਿਉਂ, ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇੰਜ ਕਿਉਂ ਵਾਪਰਿਆ। ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਰੱਬ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਤਾਕਤ ਬਖਸ਼ੀ ਹੈ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਰਸਤਾ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੂਜ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋ ਸਕਨੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਨਿਰਾਸ਼ ਹੋ ਸਕਨੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤਾਂ ਜੇਕਰ ਕੁਝ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਲੇਮ ਕਰੀਏ। ਰੱਬ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੈ, ਰੱਬ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਊਟਰ ਸੋਰਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕੋਈ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆਊਟਰ ਡਿਮਾਂਡਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੁੱਲਫਿਲ ਕਰੇਗਾ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੰਨੀ ਸਾਡੇ 'ਚ ਉਹ ਦਲੇਰੀ ਪਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਉਸ ਲੈਵਲ 'ਤੇ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਨੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋ ਸਕਨੇ ਹਾਂ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਜੇਕਰ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਕੋਸਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਾਂ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਲੈ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਤਰੱਕੀ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਸਾਇੰਸ ਇਹ ਡਿਟਰਮਿਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਜੈਨੇਟਿਕਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ ਡਿਫੈਕਟ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਐਸੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਲੱਗੀ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੋਇਆ। ਪਰ ਰੱਬ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ 5 ਸਾਲ ਜੀਏਗਾ, ਕੋਈ 1 ਸਾਲ ਜੀਏਗਾ, ਕੋਈ 100 ਸਾਲ ਜੀਏਗਾ। ਸੋ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਸਣ ਦੀ ਬਜਾਏ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਦੇ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਪੋਲੀਓ ਦੀ, ਇੱਕ ਉਹ ਸਮਾਂ ਸੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਪੋਲੀਓ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਰੱਬ ਦੀ ਕਰੋਪੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ 'ਤੇ, ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਉਹ ਪੋਲੀਓ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੈਕਸੀਨਸ ਡਿਵੈਲਪ ਕਰ ਲਈਆਂ ਜਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਹੀ ਜੜ ਤੋਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਜਾਏ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਸੀਏ, ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਲੱਭੀਏ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੀ ਇੰਨੀ ਤਾਕਤ ਲੈ ਆਈਏ ਉਹ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਜੋ ਸ਼ਮਤਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਚੈਲੰਜਸ ਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਫੇਸ ਕਰ ਸਕੀਏ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ ਹੈ। ਫੀਡਬੈਕ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੇਣਾ 604 603 75 55 ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਈਮੇਲ ਜ਼ਰੀਏ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸੌਰੀ।